Hello everybody, it's Tom. If you're looking for a ridiculously powerful gaming PC and you're not in the mood to build it yourself, then I've got just the thing for you. A pre-built PC under $2,000, and yes, $2,000, it's pre-built and it's all got pretty awesome specifications and all that. This right here is the Thermaltake LCGS View 7880S-380. That's a long name, but it's absolutely stacked. This thing's got a Ryzen 7 7800X3D, an RTX 5080, 32GB of DDR5 RAM, and a 1TB NVMe Gen 4 SSD, all pre-assembled, installed properly, and then delivered straight to you. And honestly, that convenience and of course those specifications are more than enough to justify the price. Hell, you don't need to do a fresh install of Windows or any kind of drivers or have to mess with parts. You just plug it into a wall, hit the power button, and you're good to go. You can game. That's it. Now before we get into FPS numbers and gaming benchmarks, let's talk about the hardware just a little bit. At the heart of this thing is the Ryzen 7 7800X3D. This is an 8-core 16-thread CPU that boosts up to 5.0 GHz. Yeah, okay, that sounds cool and all, but what's with the 7800X3D? What's with the name? This means the CPU uses this fancy thing called 3D V-Cache, which makes it a powerhouse. Now, just a bit of a disclaimer here, you'll only really see an improvement while gaming, but other tasks perform just about the same. And then we've also got the RTX 5080, yes, the next gen card. Wow. It has 16GB of GDDR7 VRAM, which I think makes it perfect for 1440p and maybe 4K if you try hard enough. Although, if we're being honest, I personally wouldn't rely on the RTX 5000 series just yet because it's not really the best to get for today's standards. The short story is that its release was pretty ass. A lot of people were disappointed that using physics settings on some older games actually leads to worse performance. But that's not all. Nvidia's claim with the 5070 being similar to a 4090 is just not true. Regardless, the 5080 is still a powerful GPU and it should be good with modern games and even older games provided that you forget physics existed and don't turn it on at all. Anyway, let's talk about the actual performance we can expect on an RTX 5080 with a Ryzen 7 7800X3D. Straight off the bat, Cyberpunk at 1440p graphics settings maxed out at Ultra with ray tracing set to Psycho, we get an absolute banger of performance. 70 to 80 frames per second on average, and that's without DLSS. If you're still hungry for more performance, you can enable DLSS 4 multi-frame generation at 4x and will get anywhere between 180 to 200 frames per second. Now, of course, that's with some AI assistance. It'll bring some image artifacts which are unavoidable. Also, it brings some latency, but with the specs we have, it's not really going to be noticeable. In Stalker 2, a very demanding game and one that I enjoy as well, we get a pretty good FPS average of 80 to 90 FPS, and that's at 1440p with everything maxed out. On an older title, but still a very beautiful one, we have RDR2, Red Dead Redemption 2, and again, at 1440p and at ultra settings, we'll be seeing more than 100 frames per second across the board, around 120 frames per second or more to be exact. What about the competitive games? Oh no, I forgot the competitive games. Obviously, Valorant, CSGO or CS2 or Fortnite or Apex Legends will perform really well. There's really no question about that, but let's go over them anyway. Apex Legends on Ultra at 1440p achieves an average of around the mid to high 200s and sometimes touches sub 300. CS2 at 1440p and very high settings achieves a 350 FPS average, and finally, Valorant at 1440p high with MSAA at 4 times, we get a wildly swinging average of around 700 to even 900 FPS at times, almost 1,000, wow. Although honestly, you can't really see the difference, but hey, it's cool, or whatever. Now back to the rest of the PC. 32GB of DDR5 RAM clocked at 6000 MHz, which is great for everything you throw at it. From gaming to streaming to productivity and whatnot. And yeah, you could upgrade to 64GB, but honestly, unless you're editing raw 8K video or running 30 Chrome tabs in Blender at the same time while gaming or whatever, honestly you're good. But still, if you want to get 64GB of RAM, then I'll recommend you something a little later. You also get a 1TB Gen 4 NVMe SSD. You can always drop in a second SSD or more if you wanna, which is honestly a pretty good idea since games today are really large. I've got just the thing for you as well. Anyhow, if you want this PC, just scan the QR code right here to head straight to the product page, and if you want a RAM upgrade and an extra NVMe SSD, you can check them out by scanning these QRs as well. Or, if you want, it's probably much easier, you can just click on the links in the description below. Toodles!